This is Full Count, the show for baseball fans by baseball fans that takes the extra base and delivers a save each and every week. Presented by Dinger Bats and DingerBats.com. Now here are your hosts, the round mound of sound, Keith Gibson, and owner of Dinger Bats, Kyle Drone.
Play ball!
Hello again, baseball fans, and welcome to another edition of Full Count. Keith Gibson here with you, and back with me this week, my co-host and tag team partner, Dinger Bats owner Kyle Drone. Kyle Drone, welcome back from vacation. Are you rested?
Am I what?
Are you rested?
Rested? No, not in the slightest. No, we went hard all through Yellowstone and all over Montana and Wyoming for about 5 days. So very little rest, but well worth it. If anybody does not have it on their bucket list, I recommend you put it on there.
Did you see any buffalo?
Bison, yeah, there's bison everywhere. They don't do much, though. They just kind of stand there. They kind of look like the bison statue.
That's all right. That's all right. As long as they don't charge you, that's the best thing. Hey, we got a lot to talk about.
For sure.
We missed you last week. It was a big weekend last weekend, Cards, Cubs, and I understand why you wanted to be gone after a sweep by the Cubbies of your Cardinals, but, it's all right. Hey, just throw that at you. Cubs played well last week and not so much this week. I did enjoy it.
Well, it's Cardinals-Cubs series, no matter if one's in the cellar and one's at the top, it doesn't matter. It's always a battle, and at home, usually, the home team has the spoils. But, good for them. It was a good weekend, but they didn't run away with anything, so I'm not too worried.
No, they did not. That's correct, sir. We're having a hard time in New York this week. It's been a little rough.
Yeah, the team nobody's scared of.
Right. This team I still don't think is that good. It keeps winning, and I haven't figured out how. But, of course, when you have Jacob deGrom, who's got more RBIs than he's allowed earned runs, that's I think, 6 RBIs and he's allowed 4 runs and 11 starts.
Right. I think he's focused too much on his hitting.
Yeah, maybe. Mercy.
But when when the team's not giving you runs, you got to do what you got to do.
That's right. It's impressive what Jacob deGrom has done so far this season. I mean, he's on pace to smash Bob Gibson's ERA record. I mean, he was at .52, didn't give up another earned run last night, Wednesday night against the Cubs. So, it's just he keeps pitching well. But now he's got shoulder tendonitis. 2 doctors and MRI said it's okay. We'll get into that a little bit later. But we'll also touch base on spider tack and get Kyle and my thoughts here on substances, pitchers using foreign substances, and MLB now saying they're going to check 8 to 10 times a game, Kyle Drone. They're going to check pitchers 8 to 10 times a game. I don't think that speeds up the pace of play very much. You?
No, kind of counterproductive for their whole the whole goal of all these new rules and stuff. But we'll see how it plays out.
We'll touch base a little bit later on the NL Central as well. We'll talk how the Cubbies and Brewers kind of slipped this week. And Cardinals somehow keep staying around, but the Reds hot. Cincinnati Reds are playing great baseball right now and right back in the thick of the division. As Kyle John always says, everybody beats everybody up, but we'll get to that too. And then we'll talk about maybe some Major League Baseball All-Stars. All-Star break coming up fast, so maybe get some picks of who we think should be the All-Star game and maybe who shouldn't that will get in. And then we'll talk some injuries as well, get you updated on injuries around the league, and just have a full hour of nothing but baseball. We're glad you're with us here on Full Count. And I hope you got your cup of coffee and are ready, or your drink, or whatever you want to drink with us. We always enjoy that too. So, Kyle Jordan, let's get started. Let's go around the horn and talk spider tack. Major League Baseball, Rob Manfred comes out and says they're going to start checking, as we just said, 8 to 10 times a game. In the middle of the season, a lot of pitchers aren't happy about this. A lot of players aren't happy about this. A lot of ex-players aren't happy about this. Is this something that should have been done at the beginning of the season if you're going to change something, or wait till this season's over before you make that change? But in my eyes, the middle of the season is not the time to do it.
No, I agree. It doesn't, make sense, but not much that Manfred does make sense. So,
truth.
He makes a lot of quick decisions, and I don't know. I mean, it's not like this is new. I don't know if the actual spider tack is new or if it's been used for years, but pitchers have always tried to, I'm not going to say cheat, but try to better their grip on the ball, especially when, every other pitch the ball's getting thrown out and you got a fresh ball. So I get that, and maybe the rosin's not enough. They got the rosin bag, behind the mound that I see pitchers use all the time. So I'm not sure. I definitely don't think it was the right decision. Should have waited till the end of the year, maybe harsher penalties for cheating if they're trying to stop it. But to change rules midseason, that's got to be a first, I would think.
Yeah, it's a 10-game suspension for any pitcher who's caught using it. So here's my thing.
Well, so that's 2 starts, though.
Right. That's my thing. It's only 2 starts.
Mm-hmm.
So Carlos Rodon came out, the White Sox pitcher, who's having a phenomenal year on a $3 million free agent deal. I just like to remind everybody that. Nobody wanted Carlos Rodon, and he's having one of the best years in baseball, and he signed as a free agent back with the Sox for $3 million. Maybe the best deal on all of baseball in the offseason.
Yeah.
But he came out and said, how can you punish pitchers for cheating when you didn't punish the Astros for cheating? And that's, in my eyes, that's a very valid point. Nobody got in any trouble besides A.J. Hinch, maybe Alex Cora, but no players got suspended or didn't have to miss any time. So how can you? I don't know. There's a fine line there, I guess, but this isn't the time to do it. And with the CBA coming up, I worry about this is going to have implications on that too.
Yeah, for sure. I don't. I mean, obviously, everybody's frustrated with what the Astros did, and I think they're a little bit over it now so much, but yeah, there was no penalties handed down. I don't even know if there were fines to players.
No, nothing. So Garrett Cole's one of the guys who's been the most outspoken since this ruling came out. And then everybody's the media's throwing out how spin rates, and we're not smart enough on this show to figure out spin rates. I'm not anyway. I just go with what they tell me. A spin rate, if it's spinning, I'm not going to tell you how many times it's spinning in one time. I can't see that well. If it's high fastball, I'm swinging anyway. But the spin rates they said have decreased. Is that really? Do you think it's a coincidence that spin rates have decreased since this came out, or are players saying, okay, if they're going to start checking, maybe I'm going to have to be a little bit more careful, and that has something to do with it too?
Possibly. I mean, I'm sure. A substance on your hand is going to help the spin rates. So everybody, if they're getting watched more closely, then, maybe that is an effect. But how much have they affected the spin rates? I haven't seen that stat.
It's a couple percent of spin, I guess. I really don't understand it either. I don't get the spin rate. I don't. So if some of our listeners can explain it to us, feel free to, because I don't understand it. I know it spins and it makes the ball move more. But my thing is, so does Crisco. I mean, if you've ever watched Major League, they use Crisco, everything else under the sun, oil. And pitchers have been using that forever. Was it Phil Niekro used to use that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's not something that's new around baseball. And it's something that I don't know if I'm a big fan of it coming out mid-season saying we're going to fine you, we're going to do this. How are you going to control it? So what is a sticky substance and what's not? There's no real definition of what is illegal and what's legal.
Right.
So what?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's something they'll have to shake out mid-season, I guess.
Is sunscreen illegal?
Well, that wouldn't be so sticky, I guess. I guess after it dries, I guess if you use the spray on, it could be.
Right, but think about that. You throw the sunscreen on there and some rosin, that can get sticky, make your hands sticky, and increase that spin rate. So, I mean, I just wish they'd tell us what is it that they're trying to eliminate. Is it spider tack, whatever spider tack is? I know it's a sticky substance, kind of like hair glue that is real sticky, but if a pitcher's hands get too sticky, the ball's going to stick, kind of like it did to Yadier Molina's chest protector a couple years ago. Just saying.
That was just it got caught on the flap there.
Yeah,
that's all that was.
That's what that was exactly. Yeah, right between, yeah.
Right.
But it's something that I'm interested in watching in. And do you think Tyler Glasnow is now injured, said that had something to do with it because he had to change his grip on things. And we'll get into that in a little bit later in his injury and what effect it'll have on the Rays. But he's got a torn UCL. Do you think that's the reason why he's having to change it? Do you have to change a grip just because you don't have a sticky substance?
I don't know. Maybe he had to put more torque on his arm to get the ball movement that he was getting with the sticky substance. Or is he saying the sticky substance is what caused his injury?
No, he's saying that he had to change his grip to get the spin rate that he was getting and was having to put more pressure.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. If feels like he's got to torque a little harder on a slider, that can definitely put some pressure on your arm that you weren't getting before. And if your arm's not conditioned for that, that's where injuries come.
That's a great point. That's why you just need to stick to your fastball. And if these guys learn to locate their fastball, you wouldn't have to throw as many breaking stuff.
Right.
Well,
you got to have that out pitch.
Well, yeah, right outside the box maybe, but you look at DeGrom. DeGrom doesn't throw a whole lot of stuff. I mean, he throws his fastball quite a bit. He's thrown his fastball more this year than he has in his past 5 seasons. So, he's spotting it. Of course, his velocity's up too. How that happens, I don't know either. He's just a freak.
Well, and they're calling that high fastball a lot more for a strike, which is hard to hit anyway. And if you can get that as a strike, you're going to get a lot more people going after it, protecting, and therefore, you're going to get an extra. That can be an additional strikeout pitch to your breaking stuff.
Right. The one stat that I heard last night while I was watching, I think it was not last night, maybe it was Wednesday night watching the Cubs game, was that the batting average is up since the 1st of June around Major League Baseball from 236, which is still awful, mind you, 236 league average, to 247, 11 points in that short span of 2 weeks. So if that spin rate's decreased, maybe they're seeing a little bit better. There's not as much movement on the ball, and that average just went up.
Yeah,
I don't have an answer.
Maybe there is something. Yeah, I guess we'll find out. They'll shake it out. If they are, I don't know if it's. I guess it would be cheating if you're using a foreign substance. So, I guess we'll see what happens.
It's no different than in wrestling. If you use a foreign object, you get disqualified. No, is that the same thing? Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, hey, let's take a quick break. We will come back here and we'll talk NL Central baseball here on Full Count. We will talk Cardinals, Cubs, Brewers, Reds, all in the thick of it, and we'll break it down for you right here. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back here. Keith Gibson, Kyle Drone, bringing you Full Count on this Saturday morning on DingerBats.com and on 103.5 ESPN Radio.
Kester Homes is your full-service real estate team. They work all of Champaign County and a full 60-mile radius around. What really sets Kyle, Tiffany, and their team apart is they work with home buyers, home sellers, and build new construction homes. So they really are seeing all angles of the real estate industry, from existing homes, investment properties, and new construction. Contact Kester Homes at 217-390-5953 or visit online at kesterhomes.com. That's KOESTER homes.com. Kester Homes is a licensed real estate broker with the Keller Williams, the Real Estate Center of Illinois.
Welcome back into Full Count Baseball fans. Thank you for joining us this week on DingerBats.com and on 103.5 ESPN Radio. Keith Gibson, Kyle Drone here with you, and we're going to talk NL Central baseball. And Kyle, you said it from the get-go that everybody beats everybody, and it's going to be a tight race. Boy, it is the tightest division in baseball right now.
Always seems to be.
Your Cardinals got swept by the Cubs last week. Just thought I'd remind you of that again. Hey, it doesn't happen very often.
No, never gets old. Never gets old.
I know. I have to gloat when I can. But June, this week has not turned out well for the Cubbies, who are tied with the Brewers for first place right now, and they've lost. They lost the first 3 of the Mets, and the Mets are a team also that I didn't think would start off slow, wouldn't amount to anything, and here they are in first place in the East. Boy, that NL East was not a great division.
No, not as good as it should be, it seems. But, if, you got better competition, playing better competition there, somebody's got to, beat them down. It looks like the West is doing it.
So let's start with your Redbirds, who are currently sitting in fourth, but only three games out, three and a half, somewhere around there. You know, they've dealt with a lot of injuries. I mean, you got Flaherty on the IL. Michaelis came back for 4 innings, and he's back on the IL. Kim's on the IL. Man, you guys don't have any starting pitching whatsoever right now. You just signed Wade LeBlanc this week. Congratulations on that. That's his 9th team in 13 seasons, so hey, he's a journeyman. But Mike Schultz said he's going to use him as a reliever, maybe a spot starter. So any arms will do right now. Offense is there. Goldie's not hitting the way he should yet, because I think he'll come around. Your Cracker Jacks and Peanuts that you traded in the offseason has worked well with Arenado because he's having an MVP-type year.
Right.
But you're getting production from some young guys. You know who? Tommy Edman still impresses me. He's now only missed 1 game all year. A guy that, I thought really you'd miss Colton Wong, but you haven't because Edman has led off and played fantastic defense. Offensively, he's done it. How happy are you with Tommy Edman right now?
No, I mean, I've always loved him as a player. I didn't know that he could fill the shoes of Wong, but he's doing a fantastic job. And the average is higher than Wong's. The power's not where his is, but I'll take average over power most time from that position.
Yeah, from the leadoff spot, oh, heck yeah, man. I would take that too. And what are the Cardinals got to do, though, to just get healthy? Is that the key?
Yeah, they just got to grind it out the next few weeks and, take it easy with their guys and make sure they're good to come back and not rush it. I don't think because of the benefit of being in the Central that they're going to be left in the dust by any means. So if they can stay within striking distance and get everybody healthy, maybe they start clicking in August or July.
What moves do they need to make? I mean, what do you see? What additions do they need to make before the July 31st deadline? Is it too early to think about that, or is it time to start thinking?
For me, it is. For me, it is because the Cardinals they've always worked with what they've got. And if it comes down close and they feel like they're going to need somebody, they'll go out and get it, especially if they got a good chance to contend, and I think they will. But right now, I think it's too early. I think Flaherty's going to come back. He's going to be strong. I'm hoping Martinez can stay at the caliber he's been the last few starts, which has been a surprise after his start of the season. And then the rest of the guys, they'll fall in suit. I mean, Wainwright's going to do his thing. He's going to give you quality starts. I think you get, Kim back and, Michaelis and, Flaherty. A lot of things can change. So I don't think it's panic time yet. I mean, they're only 3 out. And but I do think when time comes, if they need to make a move, they will. And it's obviously going to be pitching. I don't think they're going to make a move for any big position players.
Yeah, I agree with you because I don't know where you put a position player at. I think they've got enough depth in the outfield to be okay. And then on the infield, as long as DeJong stays healthy, but and Mundo Sosa's filled in nicely when he was out. They've got some depth there too. So and then I agree with you. I think bullpen and maybe a starter is where they look. I could actually see maybe a hometown guy like Max Scherzer if he becomes available as somebody they go after and bring him home. So that could be interesting.
That would be something. I would love to see him in a Cardinal uniform just because he's got the Wainwright mentality, but he's got, a little bit better stuff than Wainwright. And I think it would regenerate the whole team if you brought a piece like that in.
Oh, I agree. And I think it could be a piece that catapults to where they want to be. Say they're 3-4 back, even 5 or 6. That could be a move that really re-energizes the whole city as well.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit of Cincinnati Reds, who have been hot the last 2 weeks, winners of 6 in a row. I mean, Nick Castellanos is having a great year for the Reds, but they're getting pitching. Pitching's what's really carried them here as of late. This is a Reds team that, beginning of the year, I thought they had some talent. I didn't think they had enough pitching, but Luis Castillo has moved it around. Sonny Gray's pitched well, but they're getting some timely hitting too. And Winker. Jesse Winker has been a surprise, I think, in all of baseball.
He's definitely been a surprise. He's got way more pop than I thought he did.
Yeah, especially on the left side. They got Joey Votto back now who's healthy, and Votto's, in the twilight of his career, let's be honest. He's not the same Joey Votto we saw 5-6 years ago. But the Reds somehow keep winning ball games. Is this a team, though, in your eyes, that can stay around through the next 80, 90 games of the season and contend?
It's hard for me to envision that, but it wouldn't surprise me as much as if the Cubs are still around.
I can't disagree with you there. I can't. Because
but, they've got a lot of those young pitchers. I mean, they've been, when they were a pretty rough team the last few years, those pitchers were getting experience. So, there's a lot to be said for that. Now they're kind of coming into their own. They've got solidified starting positions, and they're doing well with it. And Sonny Gray's a good leader, probably for that clubhouse and that pitching staff. So,
yeah, I think the Reds are a team that they're going to stick around long enough to hurt somebody else down the stretch. Does that make sense?
No, for sure. Yeah, they're going to be a spoiler at the end.
Let's talk Brewers before we get to the Cubs here. Let's talk Brewers real quick. Yeah, let's just come back. They've gotten hot. They've played good baseball. They've got still good pitching. They still surprise me how well they are playing because I just don't see them as a talented ball club. They got a good bullpen. I mean, Bader's still there in the bullpen, but offensively they don't impress me. But they still keep winning.
Yeah, they've got some veteran pieces there off the bench, and now I guess Yelich is a veteran. He's got an MVP under his belt. He's been in 6 years now. They've they don't, like on paper, like you said, they don't really jump out at you, but they know how to win apparently, and I really like their pitching. When their pitching's healthy, their starting pitching and their bullpen is probably the best in the Central all the way around. And now when pitchers only have to go 5 innings, you hand it off to the bullpen, you got a new pitcher every other inning. That makes it difficult for a team to score late in the game.
I can see the Brewers trying to add an offensive piece to that puzzle here. I don't think pitching's somewhere where they're going to go unless they try to add something in the bullpen. But that may be just a minor piece. I think some offenses where they will look towards the deadline because they're going to be buyers without a doubt. I think 4 out of the 5 teams in this division will be buyers at the deadline. Maybe. And that brings me to the Cubs.
3 out of 4 for sure.
3 out of 4 for sure who are not 14.5 games back. Sorry, Shelty. But
the Cubs will probably be selling to everybody in the division.
So I've talked to a lot of Cub fans lately, a lot of them. And, everybody's riding high after last weekend.
Yeah, they're all coming out of the woodworks now.
Oh, again, they are. You're right. But I'm there thick and thin with it. But I talked to some good Cub fans who have good head on their shoulder, like my good buddy J.J. Lockwood. Been a Cub fan forever. Love the guy. But he agreed with me when he said he wouldn't be surprised even if the Cubs are, 3-4 back if we sell. And I think that could be – there's going to be some big – these next 3 to 4 weeks for the Cubs – is either going to tell you whether they're going to buy or sell because they're going to have to get something for Bryant. If they're 5 out and you're looking up at 3 different teams in that division, you're going to have to get something for Bryant because he's not coming back, ladies and gentlemen, unless they sign him to an extension, which I don't see happening because he's going to go after the money being a Scott Boras client. I just don't see it. You're going to have to get something for him and something big for him.
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree. And now's the time. So yeah, I see Cubs as a seller, even if they do have a chance, late in July, to be close. And they might be able to add enough pieces to not make the Bryant, trade hurt as bad, which, he's not having a phenomenal season, but he's had some clutch hits this year. So, get what you can for him now, because I don't think he wants to sign there. And I don't think they want to pay the money that it would take to sign him there.
And nor do I think they want to pay Javi the money that he thinks he gets too. Javi's, sure. Francisco Lindor and Tatis came out this last week too and said, Javi deserves as much money as we got. He's one of the best shortstops in the game. Ladies and gentlemen, as a diehard Cub fan, I'm telling you right now, even though Javi's put up some great power numbers, you look at his strikeout rate and the intangibles at the plate, he doesn't do the little things. He doesn't move the guy over. He doesn't do the little things that, to me, says $340 million man. And he's a free agent. So, if we can sign him long-term to maybe 150, 160, half of that, I'm okay with that. But otherwise,
Right.
let him walk.
Yeah, I agree.
One guy I want to talk about with the Cubs, though, that has kind of shown me that, and it may just be a phenomenon, the Cubs have had a lot of them. Brian LaHare comes to mind. But let's talk a little Patrick Wisdom. Wisdom's been the talk of baseball here. 8 homers in his first 10 starts. He's got 9 on the year. He's a 29-year-old rookie, former Cardinal farmhand.
Yep.
Boy, those former Cardinal farmhands seem to be doing well this year, like Aldolis Garcia in Texas, and
Right.
just like to throw that out there. Arizarena and Tampa. But, no, Wisdom, what's your thoughts on Wisdom? Is this going to last long, or do you think pitchers are going to start figuring him out and he'll slowly start to go away?
Well, I mean, if you look at players his type, I think he's a solid player. I think he's good. And I think, he reminds me a lot of a Reese Hoskins who came up, went crazy, and then, settled into a solid big leaguer, not the superstar he showed when he came up that second half of the season. You see that Gary Sanchez is another one that came to mind. He came up at the end of the year, hit 18 bombs in like a month and a half. And, now he struggles, but he struggles because he set that bar so high. And it's hard to keep up that pace. Only the superstars do that, and there's so few of them, as you know. But there's a lot of good big leaguers, and I think he fits into that. I think he can have big seasons, but can he do it day in and day out, year after year? And that's what separates him. That's what separates a Tatis, who I think will hit 30 to 40 home runs a year, 80 to 100 RBIs, hit close to 300, steal some bags, and play phenomenal defense. Javi plays phenomenal defense, hits for power. Where's the rest of it? You know what I mean?
Right.
So
right. That's what I agree with you.
And I hate to jump off to that, but back to Patrick, I think he'll be a solid big league player. I think he can help some teams over the next 4, 5, 6 years. But I don't think he's going to be like your next superstar.
Agree with that. I think that's a great analogy of comparing him to Reese and Sanchez both. I think he has shown the Cubs, though, that he can play a viable third base. He's got a great arm. And it may make it a lot easier to put him there every day next season and hope that,
for sure. No, that makes it easier to shop Bryant and get some other pieces you need to maybe finish out the season with a chance to win. And not lose Bryant in the end, because you're going to lose Bryant.
Right.
I think we both agree on that.
Yep, without a doubt, I think so. And so it'll be interesting to see how things up. So you think 3 out of the top 4 teams are gonna be buyers? Who makes the biggest move? Who makes the biggest move in that division?
Well, I hope the Cardinals.
Well, I knew that was coming.
But I don't, I really don't know. I think it's still just a little too early. Not to panic, let your guys get healthy. You're not too far out. You can have one good series against any one of those teams and be right back in it if you had that on the schedule. So yeah, I think, like you said, I think Milwaukee could use a bat if it comes down to it, and the Cardinals need pitching if it comes down to it. I'm not sure what Cincinnati could use. Yeah, it depends on what's available. I don't know where they can better themselves right now, but it depends on who's doing what here in a month.
That's exactly. There's not a lot of baseball to play before the July 31st deadline, as we know. Everything comes down to that final minute. There's always some deal that's going to work. And then you have the August trade waiver deadline, too. So you can always pick up. I think the Cardinals picked up, who was it? Was it Jeff Weaver one year or somebody like that? Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Let's take a quick break. We will come back and talk. We will talk about the Diamondbacks losing 23 straight road games and how that's possible right here on Full Count with Keith Gibson and Kyle Drone. You're listening to us on dingerbats.com and on 103.5 ESPN Radio.
Today's episode of Full Count is brought to you by Ford of Tuscola.
Check out the all-new Ford of Tuscola. It's a small town feel with great big deals. Pre-owned vehicles starting at $24.95. Online at FordofTuscola.com or call 217-253-3353.
Baseball fans, welcome back to Full Count. Keith Gibson, Kyle Drone with you as we just wrapped up in our last segment talking about the NL Central. We're going to talk about the rest of the National League now, and one team is not faring very well whatsoever. In fact, they set a record this week for most road losses in a row. The Arizona Diamondbacks, 23 consecutive road losses. Kyle Drone, you've played baseball. I've played baseball. It's tough to win a game. It's tough to win. You know, the A's did, 20 in a row a few years back. The A's did 13 in a row earlier. But how do you lose 23 in a row? You know how? Lollygagging.
You lollygag around the field.
You lollygag the ball around the infield. No, it's we talked earlier in the year, one of our first shows, and talked about the Diamondbacks. They got Bumgarner. They've got some young kids. Carson Kelly's out there, behind the plate, a former Cardinal. When that trade they made with them, they've got some talent, but you got to get lucky at some point in time on the road and win one, right?
Right. Yeah, and along with that youth comes the physical talent's there, but the mental ability to go through the losses and still play that high level mentally is what I think affects a team like that. Even if you do have some veteran leadership and Bumgarner, it's hard for anybody to go through a losing streak or a slump or what have you. But, these younger players are learning because they all have the physical ability. That's how they got there.
Right.
The mental side of it is what I think, and we've had all these guys on that have talked about that and how important that is. And that's really where the development comes once you get to the big leagues. And I think it starts in the minor leagues as well, but really the grind in the big leagues is so much different than the minor leagues. The minor leagues is a little looser. You're out there. Performance is not as big of a premium as it is in the big leagues, if that makes sense. Like, you're out there to develop yourself to get to the big leagues rather than, to win at all costs. Don't get me wrong. You're out there trying to win. If you're out there competing, you're trying to win, but you're working on things, you're developing, whatnot. When you get to the big leagues, it's because you're that good. And now you got to work on the mental side of things, your approach, your routine, and heck, everybody has highs and lows throughout the day. Think about going through a slump or a losing streak and what that means. You got fans beating you down, and so I feel for them. But yeah, it's got to break loose sometime soon. I would hope for their sake.
They need a slump buster somewhere. I know I always found that when I was younger. They've got to find it, and I think they will. But probably the most shocking thing in all of baseball is that the fact that the San Francisco Giants are leading the National League West still. I think you and I thought the Dodgers would be a two-team race in this division with the Dodgers and Padres, and it's not. It's the Giants who are getting pitching to lead the way in timely hitting, and it's amazing. They're 2.5 up on the Dodgers, 6.5 up on the Padres at that time of that we're doing the show here, and they are 19 games over 500. Buster Posey's having a good year. They're getting great pitching. It amazes me. It still shocks me that they're playing as well as they are.
Yeah, and you got a lot of the core, from their championship seasons, with Belt and Posey and Crawford at short.
Who's just set a record, by the way, for most games at short by a Giant.
Did he? I didn't see that. Well, congrats to him. He's always one of those under the radar players that just grinds it out, puts up, hits 280, 290, 20 home runs, 70 RBIs.
And plays Gold Glove defense.
Yeah, Gold Glove shortstop. Hardly makes an error. They just got a good makeup to be in their position. I guess it still surprises me, but I can see why now that I kind of dive into it.
So we talked just earlier about the deadline and the trade deadline. You say it's too early. If you're the Dodgers and Padres and you spend all this money and you brought all these guys in, are you getting a little worried a little earlier and maybe want to make are the Padres and Dodgers, I guess what I'm trying to say, are they going to make one of the first moves of the trade deadline, the trade season, to maybe get a jump on the Giants and try to make that move to bolster their ball clubs?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really see it right now. Like I said, it's still early. I don't think you panic, and they've got the money. If it becomes a situation where they got to outpay somebody to get a piece later, they're going to win. So I don't see. I think they're the least ones to have to panic right now because they've got good, solid teams. They're not that far out. I don't think the Padres were really expecting to win right away. So I think they're, to me, the lesser of the two to do something. And, I think the Dodgers have the pocket, the checkbook to do whatever they want when it comes time, just like the Yankees did years ago.
I agree with that. I could see the Dodgers, though, making a move. And, the David Price is back healthy. He's pitching well for them. They still got Kershaw. Their pitching staff isn't exactly what it was at the beginning of the year. Bauer's still out there, but I could see them going after some pitching that could help them after this year because Trevor Bauer, who knows with that cat may opt out at the end of the year, man.
Yeah.
He is a different kind of cat.
That's for sure.
But I like that he just speaks his mind, too, and just kind of tells everybody how it is at the same time. So, Giants leading the division. Let's talk a little NL East with the Mets that we talked about earlier. I just touched on it, the fact that they're playing good baseball. These aren't the Mets so far that I thought would happen. They started slow. They've played good baseball now. It's a team that I still, on paper, they're getting good pitching. Let's be honest. Stroman's having a great year. Taijuan Walker, the other night against the Cubs, 12 strikeouts, no walks, throwing upper 90s and some nasty slide pieces. And then you got DeGrom, and they don't even have Syndergaard back yet.
Right.
My worry is that offense, can it keep doing what it's doing and getting ball games won? And because they still aren't putting up great numbers, they just don't impress me. But somehow they keep winning.
No, I agree. They're getting the timely hits right now, and the pitching staff is keeping the runs down. So it's definitely going to revolve around their pitching, as it does with most clubs, but for them more so than many. But time will tell. If the Phillies and the Nats continue to struggle, then obviously they're going to be the front runner.
I think the most surprised team for me in that division is the Braves. They're 5 games under 500 as of Thursday night. It's the pitching. Plain and simple. The offense is there. Ronald Acuna is having a MVP type season for them, and they've got the offense there. The young guys out there, and Albies and Freeman's having a good year. They're 7.5 back here on as we do the show on Thursday night. But the Braves are a team that I think can make a run, but they're going to have to get some pieces at the deadline to do it.
Yeah, and they are a team that I can see doing something sooner than later. I don't know what pieces those would be. definitely the pitching staff, but I don't know what's available, what they got to give up to get that, and I don't know what their farm system really looks like.
That's a great question. I don't either. I don't think it's a real deep farm system, but I also think they got some guys who are underperforming too. You look like a guy like Austin Riley playing third, not putting up great numbers. Dansby Swanson not putting up great numbers at short. Those are guys that, and look at Ozuna. Ozuna's disappeared because of domestic violence charges.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for that. But
and I think, and he deserves everything he gets from that. But I think that was really the shot in the arm that's kind of knocked him back a little bit because, I don't know him personally. It's disgusting what he did, if all that's true. And, but he was a guy that had fun out there. There's a lot of Latin players on the team. They were all excited, play high energy. And, him being the veteran, kind of was a catalyst to that. And I think that really has set him back. But I think they can overcome it. And, Acuna is just going to have to take the leadership role a little sooner because Freddie, to me, is as good as they get at first base and left-handed bats. I mean, he's up there, but he's not that out there energetic guy. He just goes about his business, does his job. And, they need, for these young guys, especially, you got to have that energy.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Acuna's going to have to take that role. Frederick is a great bat, great player. He reminds me, him and Goldschmidt are a lot alike. You don't see a lot of emotion out of them. They put up numbers. They go about their business type. The Braves are going to have to make a move and get some pitching. Otherwise, they're going to fall farther and farther behind in that division. Washington, a team who should have everything: Scherzer, Strasburg, Lester. You look Corbin, you look at that rotation, and it's not produced. Offensively, they haven't produced either. They're 5 games back of 500. That's a team that I think is going to be selling big time come the deadline.
Yeah, hopefully to the Cardinals. Scherzer, come on down.
Well, I figured you'd say that. And I know I could still see that. That's one of those things that I could see happening. I'm not, Scherzer's got 10-5 rights, but if he can play close to hometown and play on a winner and get another chance at a ring, I think he'd take it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, no, I agree. And all jokes aside, St. Louis, there's not many better clubs to play for. So many guys come there late in their career, and kind of regenerizes the club and the city. And I mean, it's a great baseball town. I mean, there's a lot of great baseball towns, and obviously I'm biased, but I mean, you've seen it time and time again, with Larry Walker, Lance Berkman, Will Clark back in the day.
I remember that trade. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, so it's
well, look what Roland came over and had probably his best seasons as a Cardinal coming over from the Phillies. So, it is a great baseball city, even though I'm a diehard Cub fan. St. Louis is, and they have very diehard fans as well, just like most, teams do. And it is a great place to play. They're full of energy. Sometimes, it's just, I can't stomach them, but it's okay. I still love them. I still like them as friends. I still have Cardinal fans as friends. But anyway, let's talk Phillies. Phillies a little bit. Phillies are another disappointing team that I had high expectations for. Harper having a big year. They've got some guys back healthy. They've got some pitching. They're a 500 ball club. I mean, are the Phillies even going to, you think, contend? Is that a team that has to stay healthy with Segura and Harper and all of the, Realmuto, all them healthy to contend?
I tell you, they've got some great pieces, and you picked them as a sleeper. And I watched them when they were on a little hot streak, and man, when they're clicking, they're tough to beat, and they've got some pitching.
They got Nola, and they've got some great pitching.
Yeah, their guys are performing. They're all throwing high 90s, and their bullpen is extremely impressive. So I wouldn't rule them out. Everybody, it's hard to, it's a grind. It's a long season. Still got a month to play. A lot of things can happen in a month. So, Girardi, always, you can never count Girardi out. And I think he's obviously turned that club around in the short time he's been there. So
if you had to pick right now, who finishes the season in the National League East on top? After what you've seen so far for the first 2.5 months?
I would actually pick the Phillies just because they're in closer striking distance than anybody, and they've got the better tools that are performing right now. I'd have to go the Phillies. I think the Braves are too far out, and it's a matter of time. How long is it going to take Acuna to take over the team? I mean, I know he's performed, like he's obviously the best player on the team, but when is he going to make it his team?
Right. Agreed. I like the Phillies in that too. But what about the West? Giants hang on?
Oh man. I think the Dodgers overcome. I mean, they're only 2 back, and they're stacked. Their guys just aren't playing to their potential right now.
They haven't hit that hot streak yet.
No.
That's what I think is going to separate that division right there. You're going to see the Dodgers go on a streak, get some great pitching, great hitting, and just maybe, they may only be up 6 or 7 games, but I think the Dodgers win that too. So,
yeah.
Hey, let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk some injuries real quick, and maybe dive into the who knows what here on Full Count this week. We got all kinds of baseball things going on. So we'll take a quick break, come right back here on 103.5 ESPN Radio and at dingerbats.com.
Today's episode of Full Count is brought to you by Bees Trees.
Bees Trees, your local ISA certified arborist with over 10 years experience, specializing in tree removal, tree trimming, and with free estimates. Call Greg Miller of Bees Trees today at 217-260-4551. Welcome back to Full Count. Keith Gibson, Kyle Drone with you. We're going to talk All-Stars in the National League. It's been a National League kind of night. Make sure you tune in next week as we go over the American League and American League All-Stars. We'll go over that, and I'm sure have some more topics to talk about, even though we have a clubhouse chat. You never know who will join us. But hey, I want to mention quickly before we get into this, I saw the Florida Wolves, my hometown, my alma mater, got to play at Busch Stadium this week. Coach Brian Tack, a good friend of mine, and Lonnie T took him there, and they got to beat Robinson and play on the field. So pretty awesome that. I'm trying to get Brian on to maybe come on and talk about how he got all that to work. But congratulations to them. I'm sure that was a thrill of a lifetime. But Kyle Drone, let's talk National League All-Stars. Let's start in the outfield. Who are your National League All-Stars in the outfield? Not guys who've been voted on, but who's your All-Stars?
Well, I mean, obviously Acuna, leads the list. I like Winker actually, and I think he's actually high in the voting. I am, looking at the list or have been looking at the list, and but he is well deserving of that honor if he gets it the way he's playing right now. And going down through there, I didn't see a whole lot of names that jumped out. Nick Castellano, like you mentioned before, is having a great season, so I'd probably put him up there as well, which is, that's why the Reds are so hot right now. You got two guys in the top 3 or 4 of National League voting for outfield positions. I got to agree with it, actually.
No Cardinals, no Cubs. I don't think either team has an outfielder who even has a right to even think about being an all-star.
Well, I thought Tyler O'Neill showed signs of it early on. He's kind of dropped off a little bit. I think he'll come back, but, a little too late for the all-star game.
I like Mookie. I think Mookie Betts will be an all-star. I think Mookie's having a good season, steady. Quiet still. The Dodgers aren't making a lot of noise yet, so that run's going to come. I love the Winker choice. I think Winker deserves to be an all-star without a doubt. And then Ronald Acuna, he's having an MVP-type season. Third base, I think, is no discussion. I think you and I both will agree who deserves to be a third base National League All-Star, hands down, and that's Chris Bryant. No.
Wouldn't be my first pick, but no. I think the last voting I saw, he was leading by quite a bit, actually. So,
well, here's my question with him: can you put him at third? I know he's on the ballot as a third baseman, but the guy has only played a handful of games there this year.
Yeah, I don't know how they decide all that. I figured it was by how many games you played at whatever position at a certain point, but I guess he's been deemed the third baseman for so long before they got Wisdom in there, and that's where he's getting voted in for.
Well, Nolan Arenado would be my choice at third, and I think you would agree with that wholeheartedly as an National League third baseman. What about shortstop? Are you going Tatis?
I don't see how you can't go Tatis. I mean, he's had some injuries this year, but even with that, he's got 20 home runs, and he plays a phenomenal shortstop, and he's getting – and, the games I've watched, every one of his hits have been a big timely hit. It's not like they're blowing somebody out 8-0, he hits a 2-run homer. I mean, it's been needed to, get closer to a lead that they're chasing, or to put them in the lead or extend the lead a little bit in a tight game. So, I think that's a no-doubter.
I would put him over, and the other reason I'd put him over Javi or anybody else is because he's hitting for a higher average too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What about second base? Where are you looking at second base for?
Second base is a little tougher. Ozzie Albies kind of stands out, but like I said, when the Braves aren't winning, you don't hear as much about him. He's probably having one of the better seasons. Edmonds is having a great season. But I can't really think of any second baseman in the National League that are really tearing it up right now.
I would go with Tommy Edman, to be honest with you, just because of consistency. He's played so much. I think Tommy Edman deserves to be an all-star. I think he's been kind of that glue that's helped that Cardinal top that order stay together and produce what they have. So, believe it or not, I'm going with Tommy Edman, the Cardinals, to start the all-star game at second base.
Nice. I'd love to see it.
All right, let's go first base real quick. And who you got at first right now as your National League All-Star first baseman. And it can't be Goldie. Don't go Goldie.
Do what?
You can't go Goldie.
I don't know. I'd probably have to go Freeman for Freddie Freeman. I'm obviously a big fan of his. He's having a solid season, but yet again, the Braves are not winning right now, so he kind of gets overlooked. Muncy's having a good year, but I don't know how good. I know he hits a lot of home runs. I don't know how he's doing average-wise or anything like that.
It's hard for me to vote against Freddie Freeman just because Freddie's so consistent.
I love Freddie.
Yeah, and he does a great job at first, plays great defense, offensively hits the ball well, and comes up timely hits too. So I like Freddie. Behind the plate, and I can't believe I'm going to say this. I'm going to tell you I'm going to put Yachty behind the plate.
I think Yachty will be an alternate or, second, but I think you can't forget about Buster Posey in the year he's having.
Oh, I really thought you were going to say Wilson Contreras. I was kind of setting you up there, hoping you'd say Wilson Contreras.
No, he had a good series. He had a good series, but we're going for the whole first half of the season.
Man, I was hoping, I was trying to reel you in on that one. No, I agree with you on Posey. Posey's having a good comeback year, especially after kind of the injuries he's had last couple. He's got some more pop this year. So yeah, good choice on Pose.
Yeah, I think he kind of runs away with it. Especially, they're winning. They're how many games out in front? You said. Well, they're just 2 in front of the Dodgers.
Yeah, 2.5, but they're ahead. That's the key.
They're 19 over 500. That's really what surprises me more than the two over the Dodgers, because I think, like we said, the Dodgers will catch them eventually. But for a first half, they're the Giants are do they have the best record in baseball? They have to, right?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe they do, and kudos to them. So we'll see what happens, but. Hey, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll make the call to the bullpen and close up the show here on Full Count at DingerBats.com and on 103.5 ESPN Radio.
Today's episode of Full Count is brought to you by Bosco's Biscuits and Booze. If you need the taste of Southern Illinois, then visit the all-new Bosco's Biscuits and Booze, home of the world champion daily special. 2 large, all-natural, juicy white meat chicken breast, a side of the famous What the Hell biscuits, and a bucket of the cheapest beer in stock for only $6.99. Located at the corner of Old Milwaukee Boulevard, next to the Primo Hooer Hotel. Bosco's Biscuits and Booze. It's world champion food and cheap-ass booze.
Closing up another edition of Full Count. Keith Gibson, Kyle Drone with you as we make the call of the pen. Thank you for joining us here this week as we've talked National League Baseball all hour long. Next week, make sure you tune in. We'll talk the junior circuit. We'll talk about the American League and who our top all-stars are on that side. Kyle Drone, as we close things up, we want to remind everybody to join our Facebook group, Full Count to the Show. Follow us on social media, Twitter as well. And anything you got before we wrap things up?
I just want to wish all the fathers out there a happy Father's Day tomorrow, and a special happy Father's Day to my father and my father-in-law, Randy Drone and Bill Kell. And I'm sure you want to do the same to.
Yes, sir. Bosco. Happy Father's Day to the one and only world heavyweight champion, downtown Bosco. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here today. So happy Father's Day, Pop. All right, for my tag team partner, Kyle Drone, I am Keith Gibson. You have listened to Full Count at DingerBats.com. And on 103.5 ESPN Radio. We'll see you next Saturday morning for Full Count.